One of these days we will not have tech issues 24/7 every time I try and do a stream. But what's up, guys? How's everyone doing? I was on a real big high last week with HHN trivia and everything was going real smooth. And then the end of last week, everything kind of got into a big shakeup in my personal life with a new job and stuff. So my nice little schedule and my nice life plan that I had laid out that I had just gotten to kind of got disrupted, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you know, that sense of normalcy is now gone and now we're thrown back into the chaos and back into the fire. But hey, we've got HHN announcements that we can talk about. We've got plenty of exciting stuff that's going on. So I wanted to pop in and at least say hi to you guys for a little bit and do this really cool HHN challenge that I'm going to talk about just a little bit later because I don't think I've seen anyone else do it or if anybody has even considered it. But yeah, how you guys doing? You guys excited? We finally got an announcement. We finally got dates, tickets, not multi-night tickets, but I got my Cabana Bay hotel booked, so August 29th through September 9th, I will be there for you friends. So if you guys happen to be there opening weekend or the weekend after that, feel free to stop by and hang out, and I'm so excited. It's crazy to think that it's only, what, like 5 months away now? Also, hopefully you guys can hear me all right and everything's working. Please let me know if it's not, because this seems to happen every time. Ooh, Hayden, welcome to the party. Let's do it. I'm glad that you were able to make it here in time for one as well. I'm trying to mix up the streaming schedule a little bit, but again, like I said, starting a new job, I'm kind of up in the air with what the next month is going to look like. It's going to be a little roller coastery. So I don't want to set too much in stone, but I'm still going to try and at least do one stream a week or so. So while everyone's still kind of filing in, we'll go ahead and look at some of the announcements and stuff that we've seen, or at least the merchandise. What do y'all guys think of the merch this year, so far at least? Let's see, I have to scroll down more. I can't tell how much it's cut off on my screen. But, you know, this merch normally doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the year, or at least going by the See You in the Fog that was last year's event. But this stuff is just so goofy. I love it. Now, some people have been speculating or saying that they think that this means that there's a tease that it could be Eddie as our icon this year, which, I mean, I've still got the frickin' 2001 shirt hung up. That was the answer to one of the questions, HHN trivia questions last week, just on the other side of the screen here. So clearly, I'm still an Eddie fanboy, so I would not complain if we got to see my guy make it to the event in even more flesh and glory than we have seen before. But hi everyone at work. But I'm super excited to see if Eddie actually does make it to the event. It would be really interesting if this is actually a tease for him, or if it's just simply, you know, one of those, we wanted to try something new and we wanted to try something edgier. But either way, I actually kind of dig the shirt, not gonna lie. It's also been since, what, like 2000 when we last had an orange shirt. So, you know, we're trying new things, and I think that's the most important. Don't be like last year where everyone slammed Chucky Ultimate Kill Count for sucking when it actually did, well, it did suck, but it did a lot of things different and a lot of cool things that people don't highlight. So even if you guys don't like this merch, at least acknowledge that Universal's trying to do something different and something cool and trying to evolve instead of just doing the same type of designs year after year after year. Emperor Sephiroth, welcome, welcome. Those shirts with Eddie on them are rare. Are they? I didn't know that. Actually, I might have to take a look in a little bit and see, just this a little bit as well. But I might have to take a look on eBay and see how much they're worth. The first thing I did when I got that shirt was rip the tag right off the back, so there's a big hole in it. So mine's probably not worth as much anymore, but man, I would have loved to have seen that. Also, fun fact for any of you guys watching, somewhere in this house, since we've moved from Florida, I don't know where it is, but I'm confident it still exists, I do actually have a copy of the original Run floor plan from 2001. Well, technically it's Run and it's the Mummy Curse Continues because they both shared the earthquake cue in that footprint. But I've got the whole schematics, the whole, like, whatever it is, like 3 by something. Like, maybe I'll be able to show that off one day, but right now I just have to find it in all the boxes that we've got piled up. But yeah, so new merch, not bad. I might actually get that tumbler or that hat though. I don't want to take a survey. I do actually need more hats because I've realized a lot of my horror hats are old or broken, so I can't wear a lot of them out in public because this part, especially on my like Legions of Horror, this like does not exist. So they would just get lost and yeeted in the wind. So I do need to up my collection. So you guys might be able to see me rocking that Where Horror Lives cap here in a couple of months. Because I do not live in Florida and I don't know when, and I don't want to make anyone have to ship one out to me if they buy it, and I don't want to pay for shipping. Buying it on the website when I can get it at some point. Let's see, they were limited run. Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. Ember Sephiroth. Like, I figured they were. I've been trying to read a little bit more about 2001 because, like I said, I knew Eddie was erased and replaced, but it seemed like he was still pretty prominent on a lot of the stuff and a lot of the merch and a lot of the advertising, and I haven't really seen the erasure of him as much as I would like to, if that makes sense. Or I haven't explored what happened after they decided to axe him. So that might be on my to-do list this week. And actually, that might be something good for HHN trivia in the future. So if I do steal that idea, I'll make sure to credit you with it. Yeah, it is super cool. I agree, Hayden. I'm super into like these old HHN stuff. And real quick before I get started on kind of talking about the other spec and everything, that I wanted to cover today. I've been trying, at least with these new videos, or partially why I've been stuck is because I've been trying to find more videos and more content and just more stuff in general that isn't what you can just find from reading on the Universal blogs or reading the press releases or stuff like that. I've been really trying hard to find like deep hidden gems and hidden nuggets that a lot of people, including myself, wouldn't know, and trying to incorporate that into my content so it doesn't just seem like I'm regurgitating the same type of information that everyone else is doing, just with a different coat of paint, if that makes sense. So that's kind of part of why I've been in this funk on top of everything, is because I've been looking for some good segues and some good deep lore, but I haven't had as much luck as I was hoping for. But hopefully, fingers crossed after this week, that funk is over and I can get into creating some super cool stuff for you guys. Or continue to. Hopefully I'm almost done with the second trivia episode as well. Again, getting sick last week and losing my voice for whatever that was, like a weekend or so, like 3 to 4 days. And then everything else shaking up kind of threw me off my groove a little bit. But it's going, now that I have a lot of the assets made, it's going a lot smoother than it was before and a lot quicker. Let's see here. Where do I have this teaser? All right, so if you guys, I'm sure, that's the spec map. I wonder how accurate it still is. Maybe we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I'm sure you guys saw this teaser. If you haven't, I'm turning the sound off. But if you haven't, HHN posted this little teaser on Twitter. And sometimes these have clues, sometimes they don't, you know. A lot of people have also speculated that Fear might be coming back this year because, can you see my mouse? Yeah, because it does say Fear cannot be contained. But HHN also uses fairly common buzzwords. And at this point, they know how much we as fans kind of look into this. So I wouldn't put it against them to just use common buzzwords to try and lead us down one direction when it really doesn't have anything to do with that. Now, I'm not saying Fear can't return. Honestly, I think this is kind of the end of an era of HHN, in a sense, before Epic Universe opens next year. So I think it would make sense to kind of have Fear be one of those ones that kind of ushers out the old and into the new. But also I think Fear is just one of those common horror keyword research things that they used. But if you guys do not recognize this door, or if it doesn't look familiar, there is two things that I first thought it was when I first saw this teaser. The first one is probably incorrect, but I thought it looked a lot like this Hawkins middle school scene from the end of the first Stranger Things, but many others pointed out, and are probably more correct, it looks much more like the Icons hallway in 2021's. God, not having that whole COVID year messes me up on my years because now they're different and they're off. But in 2021's icons captured right before you went into Jack and Chance's scene, as you were walking through Shady Brook, right there, you had that little hallway. And I believe that door did belong to Eddie Schmidt in the haunt. It can't really find a good high quality photo or high resolution. So maybe this is a little more of a teaser than we initially thought it would be. Maybe it is going to be a little reveal. But I mean, you guys can see their only real difference that I noticed is the light. Well, I guess there is a light up there, that dome light. It doesn't have that red alert light, but the line on the walls and the color scheme and almost everything else looks pretty similar. Enough for us HHN nerds to dissect it to death, at least. So, my thoughts, honestly, if Eddie did a haunt, I think that would be great. I kind of talked about last time and in my other spec videos as well that last year's focus was so heavily on Dr. Oddfellow, and even though he wasn't in any of the advertising or any of the, billboards, commercials, anything like that, he was just at the event and he was still such a big draw to people. I think it would be kind of stupid to not capitalize on that with Jack, given their history or their canon history with the lore. But also, I'm sure there's plenty of actors around. James Keaton hopefully is still there that can do like these in person Jack the Clowns throughout the park. Maybe give another show like Carnival of Carnage, or The Carnage Returns in 2015. Like, I would love to see something like that. And speaking of shows, something else that is curious to note is that in the HHN Media Alert, as of right now, it does only mention an energetic live show. 10 mazes, 5 scare zones, that's kind of expected, but only seeing that there is one show for right now, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. I think it's probably going to be Nightmare Fuel again coming back. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's all we're going to get. It's still 5 months out. There's still times for contracts and stuff to be in the works and to get finalized. So there very well could be another show that's being speculated that could show up at the event. But it's just a little bit too early for us to, I think, officially talk about that. Here's a little more in-depth look at the picture, or at the cell block there for you guys. So what do you guys think? Oddfellow coming back this year? Jack the Clown? Eddie? Something else new entirely? Who knows? I'm personally betting on Jack versus Oddfellow with maybe a Jack versus Oddfellow with an Eddie cameo possibly, but it would be really interesting if even this early on there was already an icon being teased. I just don't know necessarily if Fear is the icon, if he would be being teased at this point with this type of material and not the lantern that he is known for and his minions and whatnot. I just don't think that's the direction, or at least that's just not the direction that I'm getting from this spec, if that makes sense to anyone. I don't think Bill and Ted's coming back, Mom. I know, I'm sad about it too, but even though Knott's brought the hanging back last year, which, if you guys haven't been to Knott's Scary Farm, brief rundown, they are on the West Coast. They're basically, in my mind, the next premier Halloween event compared to HHN Orlando. Feel like HHN Orlando, Knott's Scary Farm, those are the big two. Knott's had a show called The Hanging that they've been running for years and years, which was more or less just a more stunt-focused and action-packed version of Bill and Ted. Same type of risque humor, maybe even a little more risque. But when Bill and Ted bowed out, The Hanging also bowed out over there. But after, 4 years or so without it, Knott's brought it back last year. And I'm not going to say it's a perfect show, and it's not slightly problematic, but they started to approach it more as skewering the theme park haunt industry and Knott's and Cedar Fair themselves, as opposed to pop culture as a whole. And if something like that were to come back, whether it's Bill and Ted, people keep saying Harold and Kumar, I don't know if there's any truth to those rumors, or even something like Beetlejuice, I just think that style of show would be far more successful if they were to focus on their own shortcomings at HHN, canceled houses, things that didn't work out, houses that they thought were going to be really good but ended up not being it, and just kind of skewering the in-event lore as opposed to just trying to reach as many offensive pop culture beats as they could. I think that's something that would work really well, and honestly, if we do get another show, hopefully in Animal Actors, I'd really like to see something like that. Excuse me. But I think that would be a lot more fun, and you can kind of still get the same type of zany Bill and Ted humor and the same crazy antics, but you don't have to, reach as far to make these weird, obscure jokes, or, again, the same type of jokes that everybody is skewering in pop culture at that same time, if that makes sense. All right, so I think as far as talking about spec and everything goes, that's kind of all I've got so far here. If you guys weren't here for my last stream and want to hear my thoughts on the spec map, I'm going to run through these just real quickly again, now that it's been 2 weeks or so, and then we're going to get to this weird HHN challenge that I'm probably going to freeze at. It's probably going to take me like 2 hours to do, and then we'll go from there. But I still am betting on Soundstage 23 being a Jungle of Doom haunt, and not something related to Creature of the Black Lagoon. Not a Creature hater. I know Creature is on the little HHN merch display, or like right next to it, that they had when they made the announcement and all that stuff. But, I just don't see it. I just don't see how Orlando does a successful Creature house at this point in time, given the budgets and just how crazy it would have to be. Doesn't mean I can't hope, but it just doesn't, from what I know about HHN, it doesn't make sense to me, if that makes sense. Derek, Eddie as Nikon, will he finally get his own year? Bro, I am hoping, I don't know if I necessarily see him being the main icon, but I think he might be here in the spotlight. It's cool to see a tease. I mean, looking at this again with it in mind that Eddie is the potential icon, I don't necessarily know if I can make a connection between any of these originals and Eddie as a whole. Of course, there's still an unknown original that could be factored into it. But, I don't know. Or maybe since 2007 was more or less kind of like a Jack versus Oddfellow year, but without Oddfellow actually existing, maybe this is Eddie versus Oddfellow. Maybe Eddie swoops in to kind of take back over because Jack has been MIA or something. Is he still technically in Shady Brook after 2015's event? I honestly can't remember. But I would love to see Eddie. I think Eddie would be super cool. One of these days, also what I want to do for you guys. So like way back, quick segue. I know I do this a lot, but like way back in the day, like before I even moved to Florida, like when I was still in high school, I would play Roller Coaster Tycoon and stuff like that all the time. Favorite games, I had like all the custom scenery you could possibly get for Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, but the only problem was the desktop PC that I had for it was like awful. It would like, I could make like one semi-themed ride, and then it would just go to like 3 FPS and just nuked. But on that PC and somewhere there, I have like some old rides that I made that were themed to HHN, and I ripped the website photos from the 2010 website with like the Fears icon, and I made that, or Fears lantern with like the icon faces and the flames, and I made that like the centerpiece of a dark ride. And I tried to do something, tried to make like a Spider-Man type dark ride, but with all of the different lands for all of the icons. So I had like, I recreated Scream House for the Caretaker. I did my own version of like Terra Cruentus for the Storyteller. I'm trying to think how much else I did before I gave up. I think I tried to do like a classic horror movie section for the Director, And I don't know if I ever got far enough. Actually, I think I did get Shady Brook done for Jack. But anyways, I still have that PC. It does not work anymore. But I want to try and get all the data and everything off of that and show you guys this crappy stuff that I made, you know, God, coming on 10, 15 years at this point. And I think that would be something really cool. So maybe I'll see if I can try and get that done in my spare time, but we will see. So again, going back to the spec map, just again to kind of cover my thoughts, to see if anything has changed. I'm still betting on Abigail. I'm still betting on Ghostbusters. The only thing I don't know is if it's going to be Frozen Empire or Afterlife. But something else that goes with Ghostbusters that I was kind of thinking, I haven't mentioned tours yet. If you guys did not see, Unmasking the Horror tours did go on sale yesterday, and they start early this year. They start August 11th, which is what? 19 days before the event starts, which is like, it's been, I don't know how I feel about it. It's giving me it's giving me some type of anxiety. I'm going to tell you at least that much. But the way I kind of look at that is, it's okay, Skull and Spooky. You haven't missed too much. Welcome, welcome. There's still plenty more to go. But going kind of off of Ghostbusters and that, another big rumor that's been circulating, or something that I think just would fit really well, is having a Ghostbusters themed tribute store for the summer. Kind of like how they did that with, what was it, Jurassic Park last year. Obviously, Florida is 900,000 degrees hotter than Satan's butthole at all times. So I think it would be a good way for them to play off the Frozen Empire aspect in the middle of the summer heat. But also they could kind of cross-promote that with the Ghostbusters HHN haunt that they are doing. And, oh, would you look at that? We've already got some lights-on tours of that house before HHN even starts. No, that's just me blue sky thinking. I'm not really basing it off anything. But the way I look at it is, the people who are going to opening night of HHN, these lights on tours aren't going to be drawing crowd. Like, these early tours aren't going to be drawing the diehards to not go opening weekend. At least I don't think it's going to make that much of an impact that people aren't going to notice. So I would imagine that whatever 3 haunts are being toured are going to be something that's a little more accessible to the end of the summer crowd, maybe to the locals that want to go to HHN but don't really know. And just some stuff that they can do to get good marketing and good buzz around there. Maybe it's for the creators, so that way they can do like the influencer tax or whatever and get even more hype before the event starts. But I personally just look at it as, if you've got a big property you're going to be doing a tribute store for, why not try and tie that into HHN do a little synergy for it, and try and promote your upcoming tours. Let me pop back to chat here for a second, because I see... Yeah, I agree, Derek. I miss Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. I just started playing Parkitect again, which is like Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 Plus, so maybe I'll do some streams of that eventually when I'm more settled with content. Derek, have to... Yeah. Damn tours have to hide away in the corner from August until... Yeah, I know, bro, it's gonna be rough. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to Florida to do those tours early, so I'm probably not going to have much content on it. Maybe, if somebody that's local, maybe if someone like Losh or Dreamport or Zombie or Horror Fiends or anyone else that's on the channel or has their own channel does these early tours and maybe wants to talk about it, that might be the extent of what I'm able to do. But I also want to try and avoid spoilers for myself because, I'm still an HHN fan. I still want to see this stuff. I don't want to have it ruined for me completely by knowing every little facet of it before I go. But also at the same time, I remember the one year when I couldn't go to HHN right off the bat and I had to wait until, end of September, I think, like your trip, and oh man, not reading stuff on forums, not watching YouTube videos, terrible. Never do it again. The only thing I could do was get really drunk and then watch some of the POVs of the houses I weren't excited for, because I knew I probably wouldn't remember them when I woke up. Not my proudest moment, but it worked in a pinch. Let's see. Skull and Spooky, we'll figure out a time we can do that trivia video either this weekend or next week. I was hoping to do it earlier this week, but like I said, everything just kind of got weird. But so hopefully we'll get that soon, because I want to see your reaction as well, since you're, I think, one of the first people. I think you were the third person who ever said hi to me at HHN, and you've been following me ever since. So I certainly appreciate that, and I love hearing all your antics and stuff, and I'm really excited for you to see this episode of Trivia. Yeah, I wonder if they're going to be... I agree, Derek. It's probably going to be more promo. These tours are probably going to be more promo-based, more for the influencers. I think that a lot of the promotional material and a lot of the media pictures that we see are going to be from those haunts. Let me see real quick if I can pull up last year's. While I'm talking. But yeah, I think a lot of it's going to be just for locals, for people who might be kind of interested in HHN, but aren't going to actually, be doing HHN, to try and keep them there for a little bit longer. But I don't think it's going to be for the diehards who are going to be there anyways, if that makes sense. Yeah, I wouldn't do them early. I don't think I would. It ruins it for me. The only time I ever did the Lights On tour before I did HHN as an event was in 2012, because our flight got in super... we had a weird flight and a weird trip, but, we basically landed at the airport and went straight to do our Lights On tours and then HHN that night. But, didn't ruin, what was it, Penn and Teller, Gothic, and Dead End for me. It was still great. Yeah, it's impossible to avoid spoilers after the event starts. I'll read some stuff, because that's what I used to do. Back before I lived in Florida, I would read the forums, for employee preview and opening night, and just kind of get an idea of what some of the stuff was. But I feel like reading is different from knowing. Somebody can describe an effect, but seeing it in person is just a whole different experience. And the expectations, I feel like, are completely different, if that makes sense. The way I would envision it is generally 100 times different than what HHN actually does. Case in point, watch my Last of Us video that I made where I said I 100% could confirm a lot of stuff happening in that haunt, and most of it was very, very incorrect. But anyways, that's fine. That's fine. It'd be like that sometimes. Oddfellow and Darkest. Two of the best last year. I was going to say the two best, but I think Blood Moon, for me, beat that out. You know what weeks you're going to be there, Derek? Let me know. And we can meet up and hang out and hopefully do some haunts. I think I'm going to try and get the frequent fear pass again with Express, even though my wallet hates it so much. But I think it's just so nice to be able to kind of go at your own pace with that. And especially now that I'm doing content, when I'm filming stuff, I like to film before it gets too dark because I don't have the greatest equipment yet. So eating up, the first 2 hours of the event without being able to do haunts, and then being like, oh, it's dark now, let me get in line, and it's 500,000 hours long for every single haunt at that point. It's like... are you going to both Hollywood and Orlando this year? Jello Sausage, I'm hoping so. I can't confirm, but I'm trying my best to be able to do it. The only year that we haven't done the West Coast in the last while was 2020, I believe, for COVID. And spoiler alert, I know I talk about HHN Orlando a lot, but Knott's is actually my favorite Halloween event in the country. Don't tell anyone else because it's going to ruin my street cred. But if I have it my way, I'll at least be able to make it out to Knott's. I can also tell you guys that the little emo boy in me is going to When We Were Young Festival on, God, what is it, October 24th. So that's in Vegas. So even if we don't do a West Coast trip aside from that, it wouldn't be too hard for me to just kind of jump from Vegas, get a 45-minute flight to SoCal, spend 2 days just to do Knott's and HHN and then leave, but probably do more than that. Okay, Derek. There's September 24th, October 7th. maybe I'll be there because I want to try and do one at the beginning of September and then another trip in October that's shorter and quicker. One for content purposes so I can get more B-roll once I start working on videos and I realize like stuff that I might want to go back and film. And two, just to see how the event changes from the first month to October, because sometimes they add stuff. I remember Krampus, they didn't have like the finale room done or any of the snowmen for employee preview. And then opening weekend, they had the final room done, but they didn't have any of the snowmen. And then, like, the next 2 weeks, they added more and more snowmen into October until it was, like, a whole row of them. That was super cool. Take care, Skull and Spooky. We will... I'm pointing at the camera. I promise we'll get that stream done for you to do HHN trivia. And we'll try and figure something more out. So I'll give you a message after the stream, and we'll figure something out. I don't know if I have Discord... I don't know if Discord works on this PC, because... nothing works on this PC at this point, but we'll figure something out. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it, my mans. All right. So I think that's about all I've got for my HHN updates. I don't have anything more specific that I can potentially think of talking about, but I am going to do something that I think is pretty cool. So, let me try and get everything pulled up here. So I'm not going to be able to look at chat while I do this I'm not going to be able to look at chat while I do this challenge, but I don't know if you guys watch any other streamers or anything that are slightly less awkward than I am, but... Cutie Cinderella posted this last month, and I thought it would be cool to kind of do something similar to this. Now, this was Name 100 Women Challenge, and this was for Women's Month, March, so I'm a little belated on that. But I was talking to one of my buddies about it, and I was like, you know, little old me, besides playing Roller Coaster Tycoon all the time... I used to stay on IMDb and just look at movies and read trivia and do mindless, stupid crap on that for like hours before I went to bed. So I know enough women that are probably in horror movies and whatnot. Maybe I can do something where I name 100 women that somehow are related to HHN in some way. Whether they are designers or they worked on any of the films that... were featured, like, either as crew or makeup or actresses. So I thought this would be, you know, just a little fun thing to see if we can try and do. Hopefully I can do it in under an hour, hopefully I can... hopefully I can actually come up with 100, because I have a habit of freezing when I do this stuff. Case in point, me taking that HHN quiz or during my HHN trivia stream last year, not remembering any of the houses from my favorite year and forgetting like half of them from 2008 and having to eat the Dr. Oddfellow hot dog from it. So basically what I am going to do is see if I can name 100 women related to HHN. Like I said, they could be part of the event, which I'll be honest, I do not know that many that are actually a part of the event. But more than likely I'm going to be doing a lot of actresses, crew, and stuff like that. So here, feel free to roast me in the chat as well. I'm not going to be reading it as much, and I also ask, please do not give me hints if you are here and listening to me talking about these rules, because I want to see how much I actually know and see how much we can actually learn, but we're going to try it right now. Let me see what Derek said real quick. Second half of the event is great. Yeah, that's the one downside to October, is merch getting slim, and also, when people can't control themselves and they like rip props out and you can tell, oh, that needs some love. Oh, I hate that. Yeah, so we're gonna see. Oh, well, welcome back, Skull and Spooky. Don't help me out with this challenge. I'm trying to name as many people or as many women related to HHN as I can. Oh, I don't have a timer. That's the one thing I forgot to set up. All right, you guys can time you. I'll set a timer on my phone to see how long this takes, or you guys can do it yourselves, but feel like hopefully within 30 to 40 minutes I can do it, and we're gonna go from there. So I guess let's start the timer for me in 3, 2. All right. So I also should say I did not practice this, so this is not me just doing a game of memorization, and my memory normally isn't that organized anyways. So I'm gonna start with just kind of random names that I know, and then once I've gotten everything at the top of my head out, I'll start going through the IPs by each year to try and see what I can do. The one person I do know that I'm probably gonna sell her name wrong is Laura Sauls. She is involved with. She's very heavily involved with the design and the creation of the event, and she's one of the head honcho people. I don't know her technical title, but I know that she's very influential, and if you guys have done the Unmasking the Horror tours, you guys have probably heard her name before, so thank you, Laura, for everything you do. Moving on to other Lauras, if you watch HHN Trivia, you guys would know Laura Tyler was on Face Off, who was then Face Off in the flesh, and she was also a makeup artist at the event. Mackenzie Westmore was the host of Face Off. And she also did an interview leading up to HHN 24 with Mike Aiello and John Murdy. And then, is it just one? V. Neal was also a judge on Face Off, but she also did the makeup and effects for 100,000 movies you guys have probably seen. And one of those was Beetlejuice, which obviously was a haunt at the event, amongst other things. Aaron Klein, I don't remember. It's a good thing spelling doesn't count, because I am not good at this. Aaron Klein is Chance's actress. And does that lead, is there any other, I do not know who portrays the storyteller, so, no, Derek, I'm not going to be Googling. I'm going to do, off the top of my head, at least to start, to see how much I know. So let's see, is there anyone else that, I'll move her, so that way it's easier to keep my score. Just 4 rows of 25. So I don't. Let's see. What are some big IP mashup haunts now that now that I know all the people who aren't celebrities more or less? Let's see. All Night Die-In 2001 was all of the stuff we'd already seen. Friday the 13th, I should say mostly haunts that we would see later. Friday the 13th would give us Betsy Palmer, who played Pamela Voorhees. I think that was her name. I don't remember any of the other actresses from the Friday the 13th series. I'll be honest, I was not a fan of it. But Nightmare on Elm Street, I know. Heather Langenkamp, I should have made this. I guess all my long names are going to be going there. Heather Langenkamp, who was, of course, the lead in the original, as well as New Nightmare. And then Patricia Arquette was in Dream Warriors, and some of the victims from Dream Warriors were featured in these haunts. So I feel like that's a pretty direct connection. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, oh god, I don't remember who played the lead in that. So, Michelle Beale, though, was it Michelle Beale? Or Jessica Biel, that's who it was. Jessica Biel was the lead in the remake. I remember at least that much. And I don't remember any of the people from the new ones. So we at least got one Texas Chainsaw. Let's see. All Night Die-In Take... All Night Die-In Take 2, I know had Scream. And Scream will give us a lot, because that's going to have Neb Campbell... And just in the first one, at least, I'm not going to be going through every female actress in the entire 6-movie series on the TV show just because the first one was at HHN. I'm going to try and stick to, as direct as possible. So All Night Die-In, from what I recall, really only featured scenes from the first Scream, so I'm only going to focus on the actresses who were associated with that one. And I'll be doing that for more as well. Continuing on, so let me see who else was in the first Scream. Can't forget Drew Barrymore and Rose McGowan. All Night Die in Take Two. What was else in there? Scream. Hellraiser. I don't know a single female from Hellraiser series. Sorry. I was never into Hellraiser that much, and I still don't think I've seen many of the movies. Silence of the Lambs was featured, surprisingly, which gives us Jodie Foster, who was the lead in that. And what was the fourth haunt in All Night Die in Take Two? I cannot remember. I can't remember if that was the year it was Halloween or if the first year was the one that did Halloween. But anyways, with Halloween, we've obviously got Jamie Lee Curtis, PJ Souls. I can't remember the characters' names from Halloween, to be honest, because I don't like it. I was bored for the first movie, so I don't remember it. But those are two. PJ Souls plays one of Laurie's friends. Danielle Harris played Jamie Lloyd in the fourth and fifth one, question mark. I think she was still in that one. And then she was also in the remake as Annie Brackett, R.I.P. in peace. The Ring. Okay, I kind of cheated with looking at that for Emperor Sephiroth, but that's okay. So, The Ring will give us Amber Tamblyn. Thank you for the assist. Amber Tamblyn, Naomi Watts, I believe, was who the lead was, and DeVay Chase played What's-Her-Face, Samara. And if you guys did not know, DeVay Chase, who played Samara, the evil girl in The Ring, that is the voice of Lilo in the original Lilo and Stitch. So hope your mind is a little bit blown on that, because I can never see that in the same way. Moving on to more random IPs, I'm going to put Ashley Johnson, who is the voice of Ellie in The Last of Us, because I was saying I'm going to try and stay as direct to HHN as possible. Since this was only focused on the first video game, I'm not going to include the voice actors from the second game or anyone from the TV show, at least right now, because that seems like it's a little bit of a reach. Let's see, what other... Are there any other properties that I can think of off the top of my head? Not that I know. I mean, we're already in, last year's event, so we might as well just start from... Might as well just start for the IPs from last year and start working our way down. So, I can't think of anyone else from The Last of Us. I can think of... Not being able to type. I can think of Linda Blair and Ellen Burstyn, who were in Exorcist Believer, and the original Exorcist series, or the original series of the original Exorcist. Jesus Christ, why can I not talk today? What were the other IPs that we had last year? That was our Blumhouse one. Stranger Things. Oh, that'll give us a lot. Winona Ryder for Stranger Things, Sadie Sink. Should have put you in the long name category, but that's fine. I don't remember. Maybe hints later on Skull and Spooky. I want to see how far I can get here first. Anyone else that I can think of off the top of my head? I don't remember Barb or Nancy Wheeler. The actresses' names. Shame on me. But I'll get back to that one, I'm sure. Let's see, what else did we have? So we had Universal Monsters. I don't know if I can name any female, or any actresses from, or any female characters from the Universal Monsters, cinematic or not. Well, actually, I was going to put Sofia Boutella because she was the lead in The Mummy of the Dark Universe Mummy, which is kind of connected to Dracula Untold, but I think that's a little much of a reach, so I'm going to leave that one there for now. Chucky, Ultimate Kill Count is another big one. That's going to give us Jennifer Tilly and her feet that we so gloriously saw last year in The Haunt. Katherine Heigl was the lead in Bride of Chucky, which is basically been featured. Christine Elise played Kyle in Child's Play 2 and the Chucky series, who also had his character off of her last year. And I don't know if I can think of anyone else from the series off the top of my head. I don't remember who plays. Oh God, again, I can remember actor names. I can't remember character names. Vice versa, my wife can remember character names and descriptions, but she can't remember actor names. So here we are. Let's see. And what was the last IP last year? The only thing I'll say, you guys can give me hints on IPs if I'm forgetting what was featured at an event because I'm an idiot. But otherwise, we'll try and keep the names and characters out for right now. So what did I say? Stranger Things, Universal Monsters, I guess technically was one. Chunky, Stranger Things, Universal Monsters, Exorcist, blah, blah, blah. We're just going to go to the previous year. Oh, I got a few. Benny Bob just found you. Hey, thank you. Thanks for stopping by, Benny Bob. I'm glad you found this. I try and stream every 2 weeks or so. I'm trying to do it more frequently. Now that this channel is kind of off the ground, I'm trying to stream as much as I can because I like talking to you guys and learning new stuff and hearing your stories. So thanks for stopping by. It's awesome. Doing a little challenge right now where I'm trying to name 100 women that were associated with HHN and properties. So we're doing something we're doing something a little fun and a little different. So we got all the IPs from last year. Let's go to 31, which was which had Freaky and Black Phone and Blumhouse. Oh God, what's her name? Catherine Newton. I don't remember who played her parents, if they were in it, and I don't remember any of the other actresses' names from that, and I can't think of anyone from the Black Phone either. The Weeknd, I'm not going to be able to name anyone from that one. You know what? I might just open up the haunt list on my phone, because my memory of HHN haunts goes out the window as soon as I start streaming. Halloween, I think we already kind of talked about. Was there anyone? Oh, I guess, well, no, that was the remake, so we didn't get that. Blumhouse, Weekend, Hellblock Horror, which ended up not being, whatchamacallit, Evil Dead Rise and Descendants. Dang, that was pretty it. Hopefully I should be able to get a little bit more for HHN 30, because I know they had Hill House, who I'm not going to remember anyone's name for except for Carla Gugino. Beetlejuice we already talked about a little bit with Winona Ryder, but Gina Davis was also in that. I can't remember anyone else. R.I.P. and peace me. I've only seen Beetlejuice once also, and I feel like I'm a bad horror enthusiast for only having seen it once. So maybe I'll have to watch it again. Maybe I'll have to redo this one. Let's see. Haunting of Hill House, Beetlejuice, Texas Chainsaw, Case Files. You know what? I'm gonna do this one. Since it was theoretically was gonna be a Billie Eilish, or Case Files was theoretically gonna be Billie Eilish haunt, and some of the ideas that we saw probably came from the original ideas from that haunt, I'm gonna go ahead and say that that's close enough. Oh, were there any scare zones that I've been missing? I don't know anything. Well, Rob Zombie I'm about to do with HHN 29. I don't know if I could name anyone from Crypt TV. I don't know if I could name anyone from Killer Clowns or Trick or Treat, which is also going to be covered. So I don't think any of the scare zones are super unique for me. We'll just go back to HHN 29 then and start going through the IPs there, because we already talked about House of a Thousand Corpses, which had Sherry Moon, Zombie, and I'm not sure anyone else who was in that. Killer Clowns, I don't think I could get. I can get Annie Potts and Sigourney Weaver. because they were in Ghostbusters. Can I think of anyone else from Ghostbusters? Derek, I saw your AVP. I'm going to get there if I haven't already with Sigourney Weaver. Zombieland Double Tap. Ooh, good one. Which would have... I did not think of that one. Abigail Breslin and Emma Stone, at the very least, were in... Emma Stone was at least in the first one. I think she was in the second one as well. I never saw it, but we're going to go ahead and call it. Speaking of New York scare zones, do I know anyone notable that was in The Purge? Because I don't think I do. I can't think of many. Thought I would be able to get a few more from some of these IPs, but like RIP in peace, my memory, I guess. I guess surfing IMDb for no reason didn't get me as well or as far in life as I thought. I'm going to spell this one completely wrong. Hopefully that's right, because 2019 also had an Us haunted house. I remember that. And that also had, ooh, what's her name? Was also in the Elizabeth Man. The Invisible Man, Elizabeth Moss. Which I guess could have had a Monsters connection technically if I wanted to, but I don't know. Let's see. I think that's about all I can get for... I think that's about all I can get for 29. 28 had Stranger Things again for the second year, and I'm still drawing a blank on other... Trick or Treat had... And I don't know the rest of the names from that, so sorry about Trick or Treat. Dead Exposure, Slaughter Cinema... I had a thought and it went away, but that happens. Oh, Poltergeist. God, I'm not going to remember. I'm not going to be able to remember anyone who was in Poltergeist. Crap. Now I'm a big dum-dum. Yeah, I also agree, Skull and Spooky. It kind of feels like It's Always Walking Dead, New York, or just crazy people. Dang, I don't know if I can... You know, they had Scary Tales, which was a dark retelling of of fairy tales, so I'm gonna go ahead and put Mila Kunis for being the Wicked Witch in that one Return to Oz movie. I'll put Mandy Moore because Rapunzel was prominently featured. Yeah, that one might be a little bit of a reach. I feel like those are pretty original tellings of stories that Scary Tales were based off of, so I feel like those are valid. Let's see, what else did we have? That was also Blumhouse, but that was Blumhouse Part 2. I don't know anyone who was in the first Purge, but I do know Jessica Roth was Tree in Happy Death Day, which was also featured that year. Let's see. Scare Zones, we already kind of did Chucky, because I can't think of John Waters. I can think of all the male characters. Can't think of Killer Clowns, because I was also never a Killer Clowns. Fun fact, also, since I talked about Roller Coaster Tycoon earlier, the first time I ever saw the poster or the DVD for Killer Clowns from Outer Space was when my mom took me to Best Buy to get the Wacky Worlds expansion pack for Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. It's a core memory that I have. Let's go back to 27. Ooh, 27 should be a good year because that was American Horror Story. So, oh god, that's gonna give a lot. I'm just going to do anyone who was in American Horror Story that I know for the most part, because I don't really know who was in the 6 seasons that they featured. But I'm pretty sure anyone who was in the 6 seasons featured was also in any of the other seasons that I wouldn't know, if that makes sense. So, all sorts of ones for this one. This is a good year. Let's see, Lady Gaga. I'm gonna also spell... I don't know if that's how she spells her name or not, I'm sorry. But I remember she was in the season of Coven. God damn it. Anyone else that I can... Oop. Why'd you go so big? No, thank you. Anything... Hotel. Oh, I would have gotten killed probably if I didn't put Jessica Lange on there. And Emma Roberts was there as well. I saw Shining in there, and that would be Shelley Duvall, at very least. Maybe I'll get back to American Horror Story, because I don't remember anyone from Freak Show or anything like that. Ash vs. Evil Dead. Oh no, I'm bad because I don't remember. I want to say Ana de Armas because the lead in that reminds me of Ana de Armas, but it's not her. Is there anyone else? Oh, Xena. Lucy Lawless was in Ash vs. Evil Dead. I remember that much. That also had the abysmal Saw house. That's Shawnee. That's the other question, is how many actresses can I remember from Saw? Because a lot of them weren't notable. They're in notable roles, and they all just kind of... All the directors were guys, production design were guys, from what I remember. Bro, I wish I could put Bruce Campbell on there. I don't remember... I also don't... This is also my problem, is I remember weird trivia facts, and I remember names sometimes, but, like, I won't remember the show itself. Like, I couldn't tell you what happened in Ash vs. Evil Dead, even though I watched all the seasons 3 times. Like, I have no memory of it. Which I guess is a blessing and a curse. But if I could remember more specific events that happened, I'd probably be able to remember more specific characters as well. This was also the first year of horror of Blumhouse, and I don't know if I know anyone notable that was in The Purge, either the TV series or the movies that I would be able to name off the top of my head. I know Rose Byrne was in Insidious, that was featured in Blumhouse. I don't remember the wife's name or the kids' names in Sinister. Spencer Locke was the lead in Insidious: The Last Key, which was featured in that. So I know that one. I got one. But I think that might be it for what I'm able to get for Blumhouse. Because again, Purge and Trick or Treat, I don't know if I have anything off the top of my head. Let's see, what did we have in 2016? Now we're starting to get into the years where there wasn't that many IPs, so now I'm starting to sweat because... Or IPs that we've already seen before or already talked about. And I also don't know that much about The Walking Dead, so... Because, I mean, again, we're going to get Halloween, Walking Dead, Texas Chainsaw, and... Who is sneezing? We have a visitor. And Walking Dead, I think that's the one I didn't say. And Exorcist, so yeah. Oh, and Krampus. But I don't know Krampus either. Dang, I thought I need to do more research so I stop choking when I do these challenges. Also, if you guys have any HHN related questions, like, feel free to put them in chat, and if I don't respond to them now, I'll respond to them after I get finished with this. I promise. I can't think. Walking Dead, was it Melissa McBride? Is that who played Carol? I don't remember Michonne's actress. Again, I never watched The Walking Dead because it was never really, even before HHN, it was just never that exciting to me. Oh, well, trash streamer. Anyways, we'll go back to 2015, I guess, which, again, we're going to have another repeat with Insidious. Hi, Pixie Bear. Can I put you on this list? That would be one that's easy. So it was 25, if I can remember without looking. Another Walking Dead, Freddy vs. Jason, which we already kind of talked about, and Insidious, which we already kind of talked about. Those are all dudes. What else? American Werewolf in London. Do I remember the nurse's name? I do not remember the nurse's name. Freddy vs. Jason. I feel like there's got to be somebody I should know or should remember, but I really don't. Let's see. The Purge again. Oh, I want to forget that haunt. Oh, I guess I was going to say, you know what? I could probably put Scream in there because it was supposed to be Scream, and you literally have a Drew Barrymore freaking mannequin inside, but I guess that works. I guess that works as well. Do I remember who played Olivia in Scream 4 now that I think about it? No, I don't think I do. Because I was going to say, I could have put Olivia in there, because that scene was originally in The Purge. Fun fact if you didn't know. You know, actually, this is another kind. This is going to be kind of a reach, but I think I'll allow it. I'm going to put Helena Bonham Carter in there because she was the Queen of Hearts in Alice in Wonderland, which Asylum in Wonderland is based off of. And also Death Eaters were at the event last year, and she was a Death Eater, so, like, I feel like that's enough on its own. And then we didn't have any, we had another Scary Tales. Oh, All Night Die-In double feature. I forgot that was a zone, but I don't remember who was in it. Because I remember Strangers were, and I don't know if I could name any. Oh, Liv Tyler was in the Strangers. Blah. Liv Tyler was the lead in the Strangers, so I think that is acceptable. I don't know who's in the new series or who was in the second one. I just had another thought that I was thinking, and it went in one. Oh, crap, her name, whoever played Carrie White in the original, name popped in and popped right back out, so I'll have to wait for that. But I'm pretty sure if she wasn't in that, she's at least been at the event, because I know I've seen things from her popping up randomly in the 90s, so I know. I'll put that off to the side. See if I can remember. Because nothing has been based off the remake, so I'm not going to do the remake, because I feel like that's a little reachy. Yeah, I also want a Scream House. I agree, Skull and Spooky. Like, the thing is, I feel like a Scream Haunt would be so incredibly dependent on Roger Jackson returning as the voice, and them utilizing that properly. I feel like if that doesn't get done, then the whole house is just going to fail. So that's my one big kind of concern with it. Not in 2013 yet. I'm doing 2014 right now. AVP, again, can I name anyone else besides Sigourney Weaver? Veronica Cartwright, is that who it was that was in the original? Who, again, I cannot remember the character name, but I'm pretty sure. And since AVP kind of references the whole series, I think that works. I can't remember who was the lead in last year's Prey for the Predator series, and I honestly really never watched the Predator. Hey, Mary, welcome. I'm glad you're finally able to join a live stream as well. We're doing a belated Women's Month challenge where we're trying to name as many actors or crew or even HHN or Universal team members, notable team members that are associated with HHN as possible. So we're over halfway there. I got to get to about halfway, I guess I should say. So we're going to see how far we get and if we can keep doing it. Dracula Untold, again, I don't remember, but I think Sofia Boutella is too much of a reach for that. I don't remember anyone else who was in the original Halloween besides Jamie Lee Curtis, obviously. And since the remake series hasn't been featured, I don't want to reach into that as much as it would help. Hey, I didn't set the rules, Mary. You have to be Googleable. So if you appear on Google, you can be one of the ones. I'll allow that. Oh, From Dusk Till Dawn. I forgot about that. Some Hayek, and should know this because we just watched the kill count on this a couple weeks ago. It was Juliette Lewis were the two that I remember. Everyone else was, at least off the top of my head. Oh man, I'm missing the big ones. I'm missing The Walking Dead. That's the knowledge that's getting me. Or I'm forgetting like key events or key moments, so I can't remember. Oh God, Rocky Horror Picture Show. I do not remember what Janet. I remember all the guys, but I do not remember. Wow, I'm secret. I guess I'm more misogynistic than I realized. Damn. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, because I kind of forgot to do entertainment again. I'm gonna try and not do all of the pop culture references. Also, I should say. Like, I could probably fill this list just by going off of jokes I remember from Bill and Ted's show, but I feel like that's a little too much of a cheat and a little too much of a reach, so I'm trying to avoid that as much as possible. But I guess I'm just going to keep going through the years, so instead of stopping and trying to linger, and then we can go back through and see what/where that I missed. 2013 now had Evil Dead, and I always forget the name. She was in Shameless. I always forget who. Jane Levy, that's who it was. It's like I always forget her name, who played the lead in that one, and I don't remember any of the friends' names. Cabin in the Woods, I don't know if I could name Marty, but I don't know if I know any of the actresses. Because we've already got Sigourney Weaver on here from Aliens. Let's see. We also had Resident Evil that year. Again, do I know anyone that was in... Since it was the video game, do I know anyone who was in the video game as voices? I don't think I do. Walking Dead, Evil Dead, Cabin, and American Werewolf again. And it was all Walking Dead for the scare zones. I was gonna say, I don't have anything I can... I don't think I can name anyone. So I'm gonna go back to 2022. Penn and Teller. Also, get out of here with hate speech, not doing that. 2022, Penn and Teller, dunno. Anything associated with them. Again, Universal Monsters for House of Horrors, Walking Dead, Silent Hill, Alice Cooper. I can go back to 21 and remember Mary Elizabeth Winstead was in The Thing. The Thing remake. But, let's see. So we kind of got the later years. Is there anything early that I talked about that I'd forgot? Rachel Weisz was in The Mummy, which did have 2 mazes, believe it or not, way back in the day, so... Yay. That worked. I still can't believe they did 2 mummy haunts, and, like, I never knew about it, or never really saw that much on it, because those would have been cool. But Rachel Weisz was in that. I don't remember who replaced her. Was it Maria Bello or someone that replaced her in the 3rd one? I don't know. I don't really care. Chupacabras was also... I'm trying to think if there's anything that I can be, like, any associations like Helena Bonham Carter, where, like, I can... like loosely associate them, like they did something that made it to the event that was based on something they did. Ooh, American Gothic 2008 was a I just had it. Lizzie Borden. So I don't think that works. Anything for Bloody Mary? Say anything Bloody Mary or anything Lady Lux? I don't remember the actresses who portrayed them as well. It's okay, Mary. I'm not counting it if I saw it. It's all good. Because we already did, let's see, what other IP anniversary? We had Psycho along with All Night Die-In in 2016, but I don't know let's say Janet. I'd say off the top of my head. Let's see. Don't worry, Skull and Spooky. We're gonna get them deleted and addressed it. It's going. It's working. We're not putting up with that here. Let's see. What else? Nixie. Here. Maybe we need a dose of cuteness. Get over here. Come here. We almost had a scaredy cat come and join, but she ran away. And now she's just glaring at me from across the room. Probably. So let's see. Am I finally stuck? I want to throw in the towel. I can't talk such a big game and forget about all this stuff. Let's see. Let's go back starting. I skipped 2019 kind of, and that was ripped from the Scrover screen. Emily Blunt was in 2009's The Wolfman, which got a haunt featured that year. Hi. Do I know if anyone from Classic Frankenstein? I could do Catherine Newton because she was, could do Catherine Newton and Carla Gugino because they were in Lisa Frankenstein, but I've already got them. Hi, Pixie. Say hi to everyone. Let's see, what other ones? Because it was Dracula, Chucky, Wolfman, Frankenstein, and then Silver Screams had what? Shaun of the Dead, which I've never seen. Again, bad person. Army of Darkness, and I don't know the cast that well of Army of Darkness. Yeah, I know, Mary. It's probably killing you for me to miss some of these big TV names. I'm going to get off of this, or I'm going to look up some stuff, and I'm going to want to murder myself because of how much I missed, but let's see. Strangers was also in Rip from the Silver Screams, which we covered. My Bloody Valentine, I don't know if I could name anyone from My Bloody Valentine, unfortunately. 2018, I don't think had any. Ooh, speaking of association, now that I think about it, I can put Lacey Sturm because she was the vocalist of Flyleaf, and her vocals are featured during the Nightmare Fuel show. I do not know the Nightmare Queen's name. Unfortunately, again, like I said, this is a learning opportunity for all of us to learn about more people in this industry. Let's see, what else? 2017 was Carnival of Carnage, which had Dead Silence, which I don't know who played Mary Shaw, unfortunately. We've already kind of done Freddy, Jason, and Leatherface. What was the fifth one that year? It was Jack's Funhouse, Vampire. Yes, hi, Pixie. Can't remember what was the last IP in 2007. I'm going to start needing to do, study guides before I go to bed so I can actually, retain. Oh, The Thing, and we already did The Thing. So, hi, Pixie. I'm very glad you came to snuggle with me. Let's see, 2016. Again, I think Psychopath and People Under the Stairs were the only ones that... Oh, Dungeon of Terror Retold had Carrie in it. Carrie White. Sissy. Haha. There we go. There's one, because I know she was in that. Skull and Spooky, I want to love Dead Silence. I really do, but even after watching it a few times, I could just never get into it. It's my wife's, like, one of her favorite horror movies, but for me, it just never did it. And I always feel bad because I want to love it, but I just can't. All right. Let's see. Let's go back. Let's say, but we're getting to 2015 now, and this is the real dark age. Well, because they didn't have any in 2015. 2004 or 2005, I should say. 2004. Yeah, I might be throwing in the towel. Feel sad. But that's okay. We at least saw how many we could get. Let's see. Fear Factor in 2002 or 2003. They also had Maximum Carnage, which I guess technically Michelle Williams was in the new Venom movie that featured Carnage, which was a main part of the haunted house. Okay, bye Pixie. Thank you. Yeah, let's see. I think we're going to throw in the towel there. Which, hey, I did more than I thought, but I also didn't remember as much as I was hoping to. I was gonna say, it's been about 40 minutes or so, and I don't want to keep the stream dragging longer in case people actually want to talk about HHN spec or something else. So maybe as we're talking, if more come to mind, I'll come and add to the list. But we got what? We got what? 70. Not bad. I'll take it. But we'll go back to HHN stuff. I'm also getting a little hungry because I didn't eat dinner before this. But thank you. I guess I have to do my research, and I guess next time I have to do like 150 or something, and I have to try and challenge myself to. That's the list that I did here. But I think for the most part, that's kind of all the stuff that I wanted to talk about tonight. Sorry that I got a little bit delayed with all of the technical issues beforehand, and probably wouldn't have been off my game if everything would have gone smoothly and I wasn't trying to rush at the very end, but that's kind of been the story of my life the last 2 weeks or so. But you can only do what you can do. But let's see. And is there anything you guys want to know about HHN? We got some new faces in the chat if you guys are still hanging around that I haven't seen before, and I certainly appreciate the support. I like doing these fun streams where we don't just talk about HHN, but we also try and do games and stuff, and I'm going to try and find something similar or quizzes or something to be able to do next time. But I want to hear what you guys want to know about HHN as well, or if you have any questions. I actually woke up with the stream notification. Got to rewatch the discussion. That bell icon did something. I'm gonna see that on my analytics tomorrow. Yeah, Skull and Spooky. Speaking of, when did you want to try and stream that trivia? I know you said something earlier, but we should try and plan something like that. HHN Trivia episode number 2 is hopefully going to be out next week. I was trying to get it done this week, but life happened, unfortunately. But I have lots of ideas, lots of content. Speaking of, if there's any video ideas you guys want to see, let me know. I'm planning on re-releasing the Countdown series later this summer, plugging out as many HHN Trivia episodes as I can, and anything in between is going to probably be a miracle for the next couple of months. But I do want to do some like event comparisons in August, something doing like comparing my Knott's experiences to my HHN experiences, something like HHN Hollywood versus HHN Orlando. Like I kind of want to do that March Madness style maybe, I don't know, like team up of videos kind of comparing the pros and cons and just giving my opinions on what I think would be more worth the money if you had to choose between one of those events. Let's plan for something. If you're free tomorrow night, Skull Spooky, let's plan for something tomorrow night. I think I should be home by 5 or 6 this time, so 6 or 7 your time, and we should hopefully be able to figure something out. But yeah, I'm stoked about HHN this year, guys. Like, maybe having Eddie come back, that would be super cool. I really hope Eddie is the icon. I'd rather have Eddie than Fear, to be honest. 'Cause, again, I think the Fear cannot be contained tagline is more just generic spooky buzzwords than it is an actual hint. But hey, I think Fear would be cool. But Fear's kind of already had his time in the sun, even if it wasn't as great as it could be. But Eddie's always just kind of been the, like, best supporting actor guy that everybody really wants to see, but he never really gets as big of a role as he really should. So I'm kind of hoping if this is what this leads to, like, that's what we're going to be going with. But again, I think it would also be one of the first times where the preview merchandise actually synced up with the overall theme of the event and wasn't just kind of like a similar vibe or one-off type thing, if that makes sense. Sweet Skull and Spooky, let's do it tomorrow. Yeah, I also have a huge fan crush on Eddie. It would have been so good. And I'm also sad I never got to see run Hostile Territory in the very least back in 2006, because, you know, he was like that, like, post-credits. Like, Eddie has always been like that post-credits teaser for me. He's like that guy that shows up when you have a good Marvel movie and you got a good stinger. It's like that. He's like that type of moment where you see him and you're like, let's go, he's gonna be here more next time. Teaser, we get to see more Eddie. And then it's like, it just never happens. You just kind of get to see him on a stage, but he doesn't really he's not really integral to the story or the lore or the plot or anything, and it just gets a little bit sad. But that's okay. HHN Icon that needs to happen is Thing 1 and 2. Yeah, those guys are low-key terrifying. Speaking of icons, yeah, always a bridesmaid. Speaking of icons, other people have also mentioned the possibility that maybe Lady Luck is going to be making a return this year, and she's going to be the icon. Again, it could be a possibility, but I don't see anything that would mean that Lady Luck should come back, if that makes sense. Like, I don't recall a purpose in her backstory about reappearing every so-and-so years. I don't think there's anything going on with current events or anything in the lore or just anything in general that would make them be like, yes, we need to do Lady Luck again. I think there's more compelling reasons to do others, and I think they're either bringing in a new icon or continuing on the more established icons we've already seen. Just makes a lot more sense than bringing Lady Luck back. And I think a lot of the clues that are attributed to that, like seeing the spade playing cards and stuff like that in the background of the tribute store, I think that's just maybe a little bit of reading too much into the clues. Again, hey, maybe I'm wrong and I'm going to look like an idiot in 3 to 5 months. But I feel with spades representing death and playing cards just being very cheap and readily available, I think those are just ways to do set dressing. When I used to build haunted houses in my parents' backyard, or when I did those photo shoots for the HHN shirts I did for the trivia episode, like, I grabbed whatever kind of fit the theme to make it look a little more interesting and a little more spooky and just put that in. And I'm sure that's probably a lot of what the intent of the set dressers is just fill in the space, make it look good, add some Easter eggs here and there. But I think that, again, kind of like with fear being a very common word when you're talking about Halloween in general, this imagery and some of this set dressing are also very common, if that makes sense. And he feels like a popular fan. So, yeah, I agree. Popular favorite character, but he just... Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, I feel like she would just stay in Vegas, though, if they did bring Lady Luck to Horror Unleashed, Derek. I mean, I guess we'll see, because I don't know. I also think that them having Five Nights at Freddy's makes a lot more sense for Vegas, because they could just leave the haunt up all year round, make bank on it, and it would stay relevant for years and years and years as they release more films and the universe grows even bigger than it already is. But I guess that's always interesting to see. I agree. Dead by Daylight, Skull and Spooky. Before HHN starts, I'm going to give myself months to do this, but I promise I'm going to start playing Dead by Daylight. But Blumhouse is making this Dead by Daylight film that's supposed to come out next year or the year after that, if it gets delayed, worst case scenario. So I think Dead by Daylight is in the cards. That's not a Lady Luck clue. But I do think Dead by Daylight is in the cards for the next couple of years. Excuse me. Mary, would I consider doing a countdown series for the scare zones? I might. That's a very good question, actually. Because I've been considering it, but the thing is, I just wasn't ever really into scare zones that much. As of recently, I've started spending more time in them, but Universal scare zones are kind of the same to me. When Skull and Spooky earlier was talking about how it's always The Purge or whatever else in New York, that's basically how I feel. Yeah, Purge or Walking Dead. Like, that's kind of how I feel about Universal scare zones. They kind of do the same theme in the same areas every year, and it's just a little bit of different sets, and it's a little bit of different stories. And that's not necessarily a dig at the designers because, you know, they do everything they can do, but when you've got areas that are so highly themed, like New York with these 3-story facades, or Hollywood Boulevard, or San Francisco, you know, just there's only so much you can do without it looking like you just put some graveyard sets in the middle of a New York City street set, for example, or a Hollywood city street set. So it's more of just personal preference because I like the immersion, and with all of the people, the lack of scenery compared to the haunts, like, it just doesn't do the immersion as much for me. But there's also better video of a lot of the scare zones the first few years I went than there is of the haunts. So it might actually be good to be, or I might actually be able to relive some of them and maybe change my opinions on some of the old ones I've seen. But if I did do a countdown series today on those scare zones, what I would probably do would be kind of just to group them together. Maybe do one video where I group the general themes together and rank kind of those. And then maybe a second part where I get more specifically into, like, these are the ones that stand out and these are like my definitive top 25. But I just don't know if I would have a lot to say about some of those scare zones in the same way I do about the haunted houses, if that makes sense. Just because haunted houses are more my muse, that's more of what I'm attracted to at the event. When I think about things that I want to create, that's just the way I gravitate towards. It's not saying that scare zones can't be successful. It's not saying I don't like scare zones. It's just I want to focus on the stuff that's more interesting to me. And when I go to haunts like, you know, Not Scary Farm, which is also highly themed, but when they do their ghost town, they play into that ghost town setting more than I feel like Universal ever leans into the New York setting with the crazies. New York is just, you know, they will put some props up, but they don't utilize the facades the way that I feel like some other events utilize the environments that those scare zones are in. And then Busch Gardens, just down the road, obviously, in Tampa, they have so much extra foliage and so much less theming when they do their scare zones that you can't see these people coming out of the trees, or you can't see the bungees that are off to the side half the time. And I think that's far more effective than what Universal is able to do because they've just got a really good theme park, more or less. Scares. I was gonna say Revenge of Chucky also might be my favorite Skull and Spooky. Revenge of Chucky or Shipyard 32. I'm also maybe gonna make a video on those in the future. We'll see. I have the bones of a Shipyard video that I just haven't been able to crack the code on how I want to do it. But maybe I'll do that as like a scare zone series because I know a lot of people like the scare zones. Yeah, I agree, Derek. They're very well done, and like, I mean, Graveyard Deadly Unrest, even though it was just a graveyard in the Hollywood streets, it looked really cool, and the actors were great. It's just, when I want to go to HHN, I want to do the haunts, and there haven't been many scare zones that have convinced me that I should bypass a few runs through my favorite haunted house to spend time in that scare zone instead. Shipyard was one of them last year. I'm apparently the only person in the entire world that liked it. Did you like it, Pixie? Why'd I hear a crash from downstairs? Well, apparently the rest of the cats are tearing the house apart while I do this stream. What are some other favorite scare zones? Acid Assault and 7 from 2011 are still probably in my top 10 at the very least as well. Let's see. He says, Invasion was good. I like Dead Man's Wharf as well. And Jungle of Dunes. Skull and Spooky. Oh yeah, Scarecrow Cursed Soil. I forgot about that one. The other thing is, like, I remember back in the day when I first started... Oh, sorry, Pixie. Like, how detailed Hollywood used to be. Hollywood Boulevard. Crap, what do they call it? Sorry, I'm trying to get to I'm trying to look up pictures from 2010 to show you guys, but I can't remember. Because they used to, like, pack so many freaking props into the Hollywood area, and they don't do it as much with anymore. Those are the kinds of zones I like, where it kind of feels like a haunted house, or where it feels like either the Hollywood, New York, whatever sections have been transformed, or it feels like they're utilizing those locations really well. Scare zones. Okay, it was just HHN 20 Years of Fear. Ugh. Let's see here. Let me get switched over. Like, I don't know if you guys went in HHN 2010 and did the Hollowed Past Haunt, or have seen anything of it, how it was basically just a giant prop warehouse. But they did that in the streets in 2010. A lot of these are actor pictures. I'm trying to see if I can find any of the actual environment. This kind of looks like, or this pretty decent look. Like, this was all just along the sides of the road. They had the giant warehouse facade as well, kind of like they had the Scarecrow barn. But I'm sure they need to have it a little bit wider now because of the parade changes and all that stuff. But, like, this was a cool zone. I would love to be able to, you can see they've got how much was lined down the streets. Like, I love those ones where I can wander around and look, and it's not just a few stages with either some actors that pop out, or I have to wait 20 minutes for them to do a show. Vanity Ball was also super good. It was very Bioshocky to me, which I love, so I agree with that statement. Likes Camera Action was kind of similar to this HHN 20 Years of Fear, and I liked that one. But I didn't spend too much time at HHN in, what was that, 2021? HHN 30 was to this date, the year of HHN that I've attended the least amount. I was at a really, really crappy job when we worked there, and we had just moved out of state. And I was only able to get, like, 2.5 days off to be able to fly down to do HHN and come back. So, like, we literally flew in, went to HHN that night, did HHN the next day, and then, like, was up at, like, 2 a.m. to catch a red eye back. So I only got, like, 2 or 3 runs through most of those haunts, and I hardly did any of the scare zones because we were just so strapped for time, and I just wanted to see the stuff so bad. So, ooh, sad days, but I would love to go back. I liked Seek and Destroy as well. Again, even if it wasn't a good zone, it did something different. It didn't feel like the same Walking Dead zombies or Purge or Asylum inmates from Shady Book. It wasn't just crazy people running around New York like a lot of these other scare zones are. Like, even last year's Vamp, to an extent, was just crazy people causing violence, and there's a little more to the surface or a little more to the story than that. But I mean, on the surface, that's kind of like, you know, it's very fundamentally similar to everything else. But Seek and Destroy might not have worked, but it did something different. Amanda, that was 21. That was Night Maze for the Scare Zone. So yeah, if you guys never went to HHN in 2011, they had what is probably, well, actually, they had probably two of the worst scare zones that the event has ever had. One of them was the one that my wife just described, Night Maze, and it took place, I don't think you'll be able to see my mouse, but right where the Soundstage 22 skull is, that little alley that went between Shrek and Transformers, or now Minions and Transformers, they literally just put up like the black fabric walls that you would see when you're walking in the queues back of house, and they would have actors that were just in all black morph suits, and they would switch the configuration of these gates as you were walking through. So it was kind of like an evolving, it was called Night Maze, and it was basically just a quote unquote evolving maze, but it was boring. Like, they tried to do something really cool, but it was literally just black walls and people in plain black costumes. Like, there was no theming, there was no real cool lighting. It was just like you were walking back of house and you were lost and you couldn't escape and the employees wouldn't let you leave. Like, that's basically what Night Maze was. And again, I gotta give it credit for being something new and ambitious and for trying, but like, that was the basic idea of a really good zone that they just never expanded upon. Again, I wish I could have Marius Skull, I might have to look at Seek and Destroy after this and watch some videos, or maybe do a trivia category on it, because like, I don't remember much about it and I didn't spend much time there, but if it's getting that much love, maybe it's worth another look at. Yeah, it's crazy that HHN's my favorite year. Yeah, the zones were not great. Well, two of the zones were really great. Two of the zones were very bad, and I think they only had 5 that year, if I recall, because Sting Alley was just kind of, the Lady Luck masks were awful, but her zone wasn't. But I do want to show you guys Acid Assault, because like, this is what they used to do in New York, where like, they used to have all this projection mapping stuff a few years, and you would be able to see the buildings, quote unquote, crumble while you were going through the sets like normal and with the actors. And it was just that extra level of immersion that was just like, come on, Universal, you guys have put the bar here. You guys have shown us how cool you can do all this stuff, and now you put it back in the vault and you've never done it again. It's kind of the way I'm. It's like, just, oh, it's so frustrating, because I would love to see this every year brought back. Like, they could have done this with The Purge. They could have had them blow up a building or something. I don't know. They could have done it in Seek and Destroy. Okay, yeah, you're right, Amanda. When you get spit from your group, you remember it. Mary, if they added a new scare zone, where do you think would be a good spot? That is a great question. Let's go back to the map here. Because I also want to see if I can find anything of Night Maze at HHN. Where do I think would be a good... Well, it's a little too early to say DreamWorks. They did used to have they had 2 scare zones that were fully inside Kid Zone. But I think DreamWorks could be a good area if they have enough room that they can build the stuff. Honestly, there really isn't too many good options right now, just because of how traffic is. Like, the back of the park is so disgustingly congested with all of the queues and Nightmare Fuel and Diagon Alley that there's not really any way they could do something. But honestly, I think where I would want to see a scare zone would probably be the Music Plaza. Have them build some props and a stage and some sets and, make it like an immersive zone. But otherwise, I think the only area that they could do one that they haven't been recently is where we were just discussing with Night Maze, that alley that's now between Minions and Minions, I guess. But I'm not sure if there's enough space for them to do something good, and I'm not sure if they can do it because of Minion Land, if that makes sense.
If that makes sense.
If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If that mak Okay, I'm gonna, whatever. I'm gonna stop talking for a second because can't look at videos when I'm distracted. Or I can't look up videos and talk at the same time because I get distracted. Wow. This video of Night Maze is so dark you can't tell what's going on. That seems pretty representative of Night Maze. Yeah, they had some projection mapping in the Lagoon show, I think, Derek. I just wish they would use them more. Something to watch. Yeah, exactly. Something to watch while eating in line. I wish they would. I don't understand why they normally don't have those projectors and like the behind the scenes stuff playing like opening weekend. Like that's like an integral part of HHN in my opinion. I feel like that should be plastered everywhere all the time. But like Attractions Magazine has always got some stuff. But like, yeah, this was Night Maze. So it had the little whatever circle lights, I guess, whatever you would call that, like spiral portal stuff every once in a while. But it was just black walls and black cloaked actors. Like it was just kind of a. Yeah, I think it would be really cool if they could theme everything around Nightmare Fuel, Skull and Spooky. But I just realistically, logistically, I don't think that they could. But I would love to have a scare zone kind of in front of Men in Black and that goes across the bridge and kind of encompasses all of that area. I just don't see it happening. So that was Night Maze. I'll go to 7 real quick because this was probably my favorite scare zone ever, if I had to rank them right now. It was basically the 7 deadly sins. You had the stages where the minions were doing, or where the embodiment of those sins, I can't think of the word, would be doing their thing. And then they would have 2 or 3 minions associated with that sin out in the streets doing the scaring. But throughout the night it changed, and it had the beautiful people playing in the background as the song. So it would start off as instrumental, the first opening of the night when it was not that crowded and the sins were a lot tamer and a lot less risque. And then throughout the night, the song would get darker and heavier and more sinister. And then at the end of the night, it would play The Beautiful People by Marilyn Manson, and the sins that were on the stages would be a lot more risque and a lot more grotesque and a lot more in your face about everything. So it evolved and it was so cool. Oh, I loved it. Let's see. Acid Assault we watched, and it was great with these projections. I want to see... Okay, Your Luck Has Run Out. This was Lady Luck's scare zone, and I, like, never went through it. Because, like, these masks were really not good. And Sting Alley is also just... Again, it's a bottleneck. It's like back by Fear Factor area, Men in Black, sprung entrances. Like, there's just so many people in such a small space that it's hard to really do something really good there. Grown Evil. I want to find Canyon of Lost Souls. Okay. So before I play this one, Canyon of Lost Souls was, again, I love this scare zone. I love this scare zone probably more than anyone else does. This is probably like this was my Shipyard before Shipyard was a thing. But how Night Maze was these black walls that would shift and mold, this was literally just a line of back walls with those skull faces on them. And it was in front of the Animal Actors stage leading to the... Well, at that time, it was the World Bazaar, I think, but it's Fast Food Boulevard now, where Simpsons has all the restaurants. But it was literally just black walls with masks and, like, skeleton actors. Like, it was such a corny, cheap-looking concept, but it was just kind of stupid and fun. Like, since the black walls were so high, it actually kind of felt immersive, and it actually transformed the area more than some other scare zones had, at least for me. And it was just like one of those things where it's like, I should hate it because it fundamentally kind of does everything that I complain about in haunted houses, but it was just kind of like the sheer audacity to just make this, like, giant black hallway in the middle of in the middle of Universal Studios. Like, took some guts. Let's see if I can find some pictures to show you guys what it actually looked like. Yeah, that's true, Derek. I'm sure it's probably a heat issue. But I mean, Universal's got money. They're charging how much for these tickets? I'm sure they could find a way to either upgrade projectors or incorporate some type of cooling. At least I would think so. Again, I'm not a genius, so maybe I'm just a cranky fanboy trying to say that. But I wish they would be able to find a way to make it work for the event. So yeah, this is literally what the walls of the scare zone looked like in the day. Literally just a wall on either side. So funny. So cool. Oh, I would love, Mary, I would love if they would play my countdown rankings there. I don't know if HHN's ever going to recognize the channel or if they're ever going to know that I exist outside of me when I go on my RIP tours and talk about it, but it would be really cool if I was ever able to go back there in more of a professional setting. I think I've still got a long, long ways to go before I ever make it to that point, but I think it certainly would be cool to acknowledge the people who love HHN, not just me because I'm a creator, but just because they used to do these legendary truth events back in the day, and I feel like HHN as a whole just has so much more to offer beyond just being a Halloween event we go to, if that makes sense. So being able to see HHN recognize that in any capacity, whether it's by highlighting creators or highlighting fans with special events or doing something we haven't seen before, like Q&As, I think that's what I most want to see out of the event, and that would be the coolest thing for me. If that makes sense. I tried not to segue too much, but like, I think HHN as a whole should celebrate the people who love it as much. And I just kind of feel like that way for any business as well, not just HHN specific, but if you've got a specific niche and you've got some fans that are super passionate about it, keep doing what you're doing and, show them you appreciate them. We've got these little tips that we get for speculation officially, unofficially each year that kind of keeps us going. So like we get that recognition. They do stuff, but I miss the legendary truth stuff. I miss doing repository and I miss the special meetups, and I would love to see that kind of stuff come back. Yeah, 7 was a great scare zone. Again, scare zone, haunted houses I want to go through multiple times. Scare zones don't necessarily give me a reason to come back because I feel like I've seen everything I've seen on the first go around. So when there's something like 7 where it changes throughout the night, or, Jungle of Doom where you've got the stage show that plays intermittently, Vamp where something happens on the stage, or even the stuff that's more scripted like the Icons or Revenge of Chucky where there's actual mini shows that go on, or Conjure the Dark. Those are the zones that I like more because I see them and I'm like, oh, I haven't seen everything there is to see. There is more secrets. I want to come back. This is intriguing. If that makes sense. Yeah, they should. Honestly, I don't know why they don't play Dead Meat's kill count. Like, I understand it, but, like, that would be incredible if they could just play, like, a Dead Meat promo clip on the sides of the haunts, especially for the movies that he's done kill counts for. Like, get the audience up to speed, have him do some sit-down interviews with the creative team. So, and, like, to play in between like the whatever kill count episode, like I think that would be awesome. Or just do something like that with their own production team. Wouldn't be as cool, but again, I would just think that if we're creating this whole cool HHN event, I'd want to show how much fun I had making it. I want to show all the cool stuff that happened behind the scenes. And I want to show that to everyone who's waiting in line so that they aren't drinking themselves to death or causing fights. But, again, just me rambling about my bucket list things that I would love to see at the event. But, I'm sure if anyone else was in charge of HHN, everyone would do it their own way. You guys would do it your own way. I would do it my own way. People there are doing it their own way. everyone's got an opinion. Doesn't mean they mean anything. Mary, could you explain the Legendary Truth meetups? Yeah, so I don't remember them vividly because I was a little youngin' and I have a terrible memory anyways, but the websites back in the day used to be a lot more interactive. It wasn't just the haunted houses. There would be mini games and like, how do I describe it? Flash videos, I guess, is the way. Like, animated backgrounds. Like, there used to be a lot of cool stuff. And you could unlock more lore about the haunted houses. I mean, in 2006... Again, I can't talk and type at the same time. Halloween Horror Nights 2006. No, I just want Orlando. Disrespectful. Whatever, this is going to take a second to look up. But, the websites used to have a lot on it, and especially in 2008, that was Legendary Truth, which was this kind of fictional organization that they created that was kind of like paranormal ghost hunters, and it tied into a lot of the lore of the haunted houses. So I don't remember exactly what they did in 2008, but actually let me look up Legendary Truth, because I'm sure there's got to be some stuff on the events. But I know that during some years, they would have like ciphers that were hidden around the park, and once you solved the cipher, it would lead you to a direct location where you would do something that was like a Q&A with the creators, or just like a little secret, secluded party. The one that I did in, God, was it 2015? 2014 or 2015, I can't remember which one. I think it was very similar. They had a cipher that everyone tried to solve, and then on the final night, I would say it was on the final night because I remember it was Halloween because I didn't go trick-or-treating with my family at that time. I went to HHN so that way I could do this, but I don't remember exactly what it was. Somewhere around here, actually. Still got the meetup card, but once you solve the cipher or whatever, I think there was somebody waiting up front. I think it was maybe TJ and Rick Spencer. I don't remember. But they would get you this Horror Unearthed card that's like, hey, congrats, you completed the Legendary Truth thing. And then we all met up back where the Tribute store is now, over in the Macy's extended queue that year. And they did something that was like a little pre-show. Oh, I never switched back over. They did something that was like a little pre-show that kind of explained, like, you know, we're Legendary Truth and we're going to have you guys going on this secret mission and trying out some new technology. But it was basically like the repository light, but it was only for super fans. And like HHN groups on Facebook would be like going nuts. Like everyone would be working together to try and solve this stuff. Trying to see, like, this is all website lore. I'll go back and try and look up a video. But when I did get that card that night and we went to that event, it was in the entire footprint of where the Tribute store is now. So the Macy's area with the Mummy extended queue, that hallway down the middle where they had the comic books last year, it was included, or this experience was on both sides. But I remember vividly there was one point where you had to do like a seance. So they gave you like a tablet and you put it over the Ouija board as like the viewfinder. And as you would do it, things would start to shake around the room. There would be stuff that you could see on the screen that was happening. And it was kind of like a tested augmented reality. But it was cool stuff like that where it's like, we want to try some weird new ideas. So let's do it with these super fans and let them be the guinea pigs. I know somebody has a video on this. Inside the Magic has one here. Also, I'll get to chat in a second because I see you guys have been saying stuff. Oh yeah, they had the test app. I forgot about that. They had their own app that you would do achievements and stuff on. for the Horror Unearthed game. And I had it on my phone. I would never delete it, but eventually it got taken off the App Store for obvious reasons. And after my hardware upgraded, it didn't carry over. Sad. But so yeah, this was like the whole thing. It was so cool. They had it decked out like the Legendary Truth field office. Yeah. And then TJ Mariano, who's one of the higher honchos there, was kind of do like a little intro spiel and be kind of like the bridge between, you know, storyteller and designer. It was very obvious that he was not playing a character, but he was just himself, thanking everyone for being so involved in HHN, but also trying to be kind of narrative, if that makes sense. Let's see. Yeah, I would love to try and save up for a private RIP. Hopefully channel starts getting successful here, and that seems a little more likely after this year. So I don't know if I'll be able to help or do a big private group this year, but I would love to try and figure out how to do something with everyone next year for sure. And definitely, if you guys do see me at the park this year, stop and chat and go through a haunt with me. I'd love it. Yeah, rip Rick Spencer. Sad day. I feel sad. Yeah, Disney Park, that before it became a thing. Yeah, it's hard to do intimate. I agree to an extent, Derek. I feel like every attention spans also are just so short these days that people don't want to sit and watch an hour-long documentary on HHN, even if they are waiting in line, even though I'm nerdy and would love that. But I think I've rambled long enough here about this kind of stuff. I had a lot of fun tonight, though. I am getting, like I said, I didn't eat dinner before this, so that was bad streamer on my part, so I'm getting kind of hungry. So I'm probably going to start wrapping this up here. Agree, Mary. Hopefully they can find that balance between corporate and creative goals. And I wouldn't even necessarily say that this was a corporate decision. I think it just comes down to when you look at how big HHN is nowadays, it's so hard to do something like this without having to increase the capacity so much or, you know, risking the fights and bullcrap that's going to happen because guests don't know how to handle themselves in public anymore. Thanks for staying by, everyone. Really love you guys. Really appreciate it. Glad to see so many new faces here. It's crazy how much the channel has grown just in the last like month, just with HHN interest rising up again, and obviously trivia coming out, but with plenty more to come. I do think the one thing I did forget to talk about was Insidious potentially coming to HHN. That's another rumor that I just remembered off the top of my head, but that's why it's in the thumbnail. Sorry, guys, if you were expecting that, and I didn't talk about it till now. But Insidious has been rumored to be the secret IP, potentially, and I think that is amazing. I would love to see Insidious. Every time it's been at the event, been an absolute banger. Unlike Stranger Things, Shining, some of these other haunts where they have to, like, show every single scene in, like, extensive detail, Insidious has always just been very good at just showing the creepiest scenes, the scariest stuff out of context, and just creating a spooky environment better than a lot of the other IPs that they've ever done at HHN. So, do I think it's necessarily coming? I mean, The Red Door did just come out, and Insidious is a Blumhouse property, so I think that could be the big push this year if we don't get FNAF. Plus, it's likely going to be a reuse of assets we've already seen, unfortunately. But, I mean, it's a budget way that they could do a really good house. And I wouldn't mind having a really good Insidious house that costs not a lot of money if it doesn't take away from the rest of the event, if that makes sense. But I'd say there's probably a 50-50 shot if you guys wanted me to bet on it right now. Yeah, lots of fun news this week, Derek. Thanks for stopping by. Oh yeah, Skull and Spooky. We need to go through a house together. My opening night last year was just chaos. And also, I'm very indecisive if you guys haven't been able to determine that yet. So I'll be like, I'm going to go do this. Nope, just kidding. I want to do this instead. Oh, you want to, oh, I didn't know that you are that close behind me. I'm sorry. We'll make it up this year. We will do as many haunts as possible this year. We'll try and make it through all 10. Just let me know when you're going, if you're going to be there opening night again, and we'll try and plan something out. And that goes to anyone who's watching. Even if you think I'm annoying, and you want to throw some rotten fruit at me, do it at HHN, because you'll get kicked out, and I'll be feeling cool like I have street cred. But seriously, guys, if you do ever see me at the event, or even at the parks, just in general, come say hi. Come hang out. I love chatting with you guys, and kind of the whole reason that I did this YouTube thing is because I wanted to make some new friends. I wanted to talk about the event that I love and the thing that makes me super happy with other people who can't gush about this with anyone else. And hearing your guys' stories, hanging out with you guys at the event, just vibing with all you guys is my favorite part. I went on the Unmasking the Horror tour last year by myself because my wife had to work, so she wasn't able to attend opening weekend with me. And I met someone, Josh, you guys might have seen him in the chat, popping in here and there. Not tonight, but in other streams. I met Josh during that Unmasking the Horror tour, and we started talking, and he said, yeah, I'll follow the channel. Sure, sounds cool. And we've gotten pretty close. And Skull and Spooky obviously has been here chatting away this whole time, telling his family he doesn't want to spend time with them so he can hang out with us. Like, that's awesome. The fact that I made that much of a difference and that much of an impact on some people that they want to come hang out that much, like, that's the coolest thing to me. I don't care about the money, the clout, or the accolades. I just want to know that your life is better because I'm here. That's what makes this worth it for me at the end of the day. Oh, 162 days, Derek? Yeah, reach out on Discord for sure. Also, if you guys aren't in my Discord, link is in the description down below. Feel free to join it. Still a work in progress, just like everything else with this channel. It seems like the stuff that I want to do never ends, and I'm always falling behind. But if you ever want to ask questions about HHN, just chat with friends, make some new friends, show your art, anything. Come join. Very chill. Love you guys. Let's see. Yeah, I don't blame you, Skull and Spooky. Don't have to worry. I texted my friend last night. I was like, can we just not do Central Park Stay and Scream in the middle of a hurricane on opening night this year, please? Like, oh, nightmare. Still be there, though, but I'm doing it for you guys and maybe a little bit for myself. But I won't say that. Thank you for stopping by, Mary. Thank you, thank you. Awesome. Hopefully I'll see you in there. I'm going to go get some food, and then I'll probably be chatting in Discord a little bit. And let's plan on trying to do something next week as well. I should know my schedule a little bit more after tomorrow, so maybe I'll make a post. So just keep an eye out on the community tab. Again, thank you for supporting me, guys. I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't have a chat to talk to and people who cared about me enough to listen to me prattle and get distracted and go off on tangents and forget famous people's names that I'm going to kick myself for as soon as I end this stream. But I'm going to head off. I'll see you guys here I'll still be there for the second weekend, Skull and Spooky, so don't worry. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow, Skull. We'll figure out something for streaming that trivia episode, and stay tuned for more exciting stuff on the channel coming soon as I possibly can, because I feel like I never stop working, but I feel like I don't work enough. But I love you guys. Thanks for stopping by. Go check out all these other awesome HHN creators as well and show the support for the community, and I'll see